What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to another edition of the Tuesday Track Talk with your almost three stones pit crew today. One of the guys is across the pond, as we will say today.
Yep.
So he's probably passed out in bed sleeping. So we're rolling with two today. So we'll see how it goes today. Episode 111, which is going to be pretty convenient for what today's episode is going to be all about, as we'll get into a little bit. Otherwise, I'm your tire changer, Cam.
You're Jack Mankel.
And it's gonna be pretty basic here today. We're gonna talk about some news that popped up over the past week, and there was a lot of it. And then again, conveniently enough, we're gonna talk about the lawsuit that wrapped up last week and what our
Yep.
personal thoughts are, what we think is gonna happen. We're not really gonna go into super big details about it, but just kind of what we think the effects of it will be. So yeah,
Yeah.
go from there and see what goes on. So other than that, what's been going on since we last reconvened with each other?
Got real cold there for a little while. Now it's warmer-ish.
Yep.
So it's not frigid cold anymore. So
And I did see I had a friend send me this meme the other day. It was Kermit the Frog looking outside, right? And let me find it here. Looking at the rain. And the caption was, "It's the first weekend without any Formula One, NASCAR, IndyCar, MotoGP, or IMSA on track since January 11th."
yeah, and then you start to look at it, you click on Flow Racing and it gets pretty quiet on there, and Dirt Vision is pretty quiet, and Track TV is pretty quiet.
Yep.
So yeah, the live racing action few and far between right now. So
Yep.
we're just gonna break news and then talk NASCAR in reality,
As fitting
So
as it is. Yep.
yeah, you know what? Just in with this whole NASCAR deal, it just took a little time to one process all of the week of trial and the 14 months of litigation. And I mean, we tried to keep track of who could do what for the 14 months, but for those of us that are not law people, it is hard to keep track of.
Yeah,
So
and the vocabulary got a little bit of out of our expertise,
yeah, yeah, for sure. So we're gonna put it in layman's terms, I think is the best way to describe it.
or at least do our damnedest about that.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right. Well, you want to cover the news here before we dive into the old NASCAR?
Yep.
So, I'll take the first little bit of it here. It's gonna be a little all over the place, but bear with me here. So, I think one of the big ones that came out of the news, at least on the dirt side of things, for sprint cars, Donnie Schatz has his ride for 2026 officially. He'll be racing the CJB Motorsports number 15 for the World Outlaws. They're gonna have that CJB is gonna have a split effort. They're gonna be both high limit and World Outlaws next year.
Yep.
So kind of like what Shark Racing did last year and the year before that as well. So split
Hmm.
efforts there. Couple of new teams joining in on the World Outlaws this year. Ashton Torgerson was already announced as a rookie for the World Outlaws. Scotty Thiel, the real deal, Scotty Thiel,
Yep.
or the big wheel, I should say, will be racing the Greg Wheeler Motorsports car for the World Outlaws. Most notably was the 2024 IRA champion.
Yep.
So he'll be making the big run. Another Scotty boy in the running. And then this was just announced today, and I'm going to botch this. Scott Bagoki, uh,
Yep.
Australian driver, uh, and the Three Stooges racing team. Uh, yeah, I kid you not, will be joining the World Outlaws for their rookie campaign as well. So we've got three rookies so far vying for the title.
Yep.
Um, this one came as a real surprise, and this came out of the PRI show down in Indy. Gio Scelzi will be racing full-time high limit with Spire Motorsports, who is launching a sprint car program. And they're going to have Chili's as one of the primary sponsors on that one.
Yeah, there was a lot of rumors around that camp putting together a sprint car program. So I you kind of felt like it was a matter of time with how much smoke there was around that whole deal. So it was just going to be a matter of what series and who was going to drive it.
Well, and you then when they came out with their driver development program and Gio was on there, you kind of like, all right,
It was Gio, Tristan McKee, very much a Spire guy.
yep.
So those were two of the guys a part of that program. So you kind of led you to believe that they were going to take care of him to a certain degree.
Correct. So, um, speaking of the sprint car side of things, the National Sprint Car Council has been formed. This consists of representatives from High Limit, the World Outlaw slash the American Sprint Car Series, the Mark Series, USAC, the World Racing Group, Knoxville, Eldora, and Pennsylvania Sprint Cars. So there's a lot of names in this one. Um, Basically, it's aimed to evaluate and address needs of sprint car racing as a whole, including safety, enhancing standards, and sound regulations. So it's just a unified body or commission for sprint car racing. So obviously, got a lot of the top ones. I would say really the three top ones at High Limit, World Outlaws, and USAC, along with the big tracks, coming together to try and make things more unified amongst themselves. So looking forward to that. Another one that was announced today, Connor Zilic will be racing the Rolex 24 Hours in the GTP class in the number 31 Action Express Cadillac. So be excited to see him get back into the road racing a little bit.
Yep.
Uh, and then finally for me, and this one was kind of one that's been brewing for a while, IndyCar has finally announced that they will have an independent officiating system for next year. The little bit that we were given so far was that three board members have been selected by the IndyCar teams. One of them being Ray Abraham, the longtime NASCAR crew chief. And there's an FIA, which is the Formula One basis governing group representative as well. Basically, they'll run the show when it comes to officiating in the rule book,
I mean, kind of had to know that was coming.
especially after last year's very bad officiating year and what it was.
Yep.
So, this was voted on upon the teams, and everybody is pretty much in well spirits of that. So,
Yep. For sure. All right. Jumping to the dirt side of things. This one's kind of one of those ones that's been brewing, but really been no official announcement about it until just a couple days ago. Flow Racing or Flow Sports, I should say, has acquired the Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model Series. Lucas Oil will remain the title sponsor for the series, what has been kind of termed as a several year deal. Um, so, Flow Sports just kind of restates their investment into kind of short track racing to a certain degree.
deepening their
Uh,
roots.
yeah, for sure. On top of that, they have also announced at the awards banquet for Lucas Oil that they will go to a traditional point system across the entire season, where their playoff system that they've kind of tweaked and tinkered in the last couple of years will be going away. So, full point system for the year for the Lucas Oil late models.
Yep.
Talking about dirt late model driver news and or team changes. When we look at that, Tanner English very suddenly is out of the Copeland Farms Racing number 96, following a statement that the team was looking to relocate all of their operations to Georgia. English chose not to relocate, as the statement was made. So that team was operating out of English's shop in Illinois. So he was kind of housing them there. English, with his shop and operation there, has decided he's going to stay in Illinois. So English is kind of looking for what's next for him. Dalton Wilson, another kind of touted free agent in the dirt late model world. He's found a home at Big Frog Motorsports for 2026. He ran with them at World Finals in that 58. Series and schedule will be TBA in the next coming weeks. So the big perm has got a gig for next year. And then kind of one, I would say, coming out of retirement fully would be Chris Madden. He's going to pilot the Infinity Chassis house car for Wells Motorsports full time in 2026. They will just be pick and choose, and they will get together and get going at Volusia in January. So Smokey coming out of retirement fully now, I think we can say, as he's kind of here and there ran a few races in the last couple of years since stepping away. Talking some NASCAR news, Craftsman Truck Series. McAnally Hilgeman announces a few of their drivers. Chris Wright will drive the 81 full time, and Daniel Hemrick will be back with extended sponsorship from Napa. So, two of their trucks filled full time for the coming season. And other Truck Series news: Chandler Smith, which I think this comes as no surprise, will return to front row in their truck program. So they've solidified Smith and Riggs as their two Truck Series guys. Lastly, kind of sponsorship news. This one came out this morning, actually. Arby's, they'll be jumping from Rick Ware to Junior Motorsports. So they will be on an array of race cars throughout the season. I think, if I remember correctly, they'll be sponsoring all four cars at one point. Not together, but across the duration of the season. So
Yep.
Junior really working hard on the sponsorship side to make sure that his teams and crews and drivers are all taken care of on that side. So
And
kind of
honestly, who wouldn't want to be associated with Dale Jr.?
cool to see them taking a little different approach as a team sponsorship rather than drivers bring your money with you
Yep.
scenario. So and I think the last one goes without saying, and this kind of transfers us into what is going to be the next conversation here for a while. The NASCAR versus 2311 Front Row Motorsport lawsuit has come to a settlement. So
Finally.
finally, um, they couldn't do it prior to the trial in terms of the settlement.
Yep.
So they yeah, it got to, I believe, was that day 9,
10?
10, 9, 10? I mean, this article that we're referencing here from Bob Procris is like
Let's see. We made it to the 11th. It started on the 1st, so 5, 6, 7, day 10.
day 10.
It
So,
was looking to even go to a third week.
yeah,
So good
yeah,
timing, as they say.
yep. And I think when we look at this, like, not to kind of jump ahead to what comes of it, is the big topic of conversation has been the evergreen charters,
Yep.
right? The charters have been the conversation of this lawsuit collectively, and the antitrust and the monopoly, and well, prices are sky high, and that's keeping teams from getting in, that's keeping open cars from competing, and it's been single source parts, and it's been all about the
And
cost
that's
increasing in the Cup Series.
and
So
that's how teams get revenue from TV and their sponsorships and this, that, and the other. Like literally the finances of the NASCAR teams revolves around the charters.
yes, yep. So details haven't been fully worked out. I know there's still working on a number in terms of the international money from TV.
Yep.
Will start to get dispersed to teams as well. Obviously, they can't put their full spreadsheets out there for everyone to see them. So some of the monetary stuff will not be made public, and rightfully so to a certain degree.
And and I'd say even then, like a lot of the books did get opened up in this whole deal. And you take it for what you feel like it's worth, but yeah, I don't think it made either side look good, right?
Right,
It certainly didn't make things better.
correct.
So,
Yeah, I don't know. I think that's part of it. Is I think you need to go into those pieces of it, but did that have to be public information? I would beg to differ at this point. hindsight being 2020.
Yeah.
Um, in looking at that. So yeah, when we look at the charters, the evergreen charters. I mean, does it eliminate this bargaining agreement every 7 years? Absolutely, it does.
Hmm.
It's not every 7 years we're renegotiating these terms, and oh my God, next year's a year for the charter agreement to change over. Like that won't be a thing anymore. Now that there's 15 teams that will have permanent, basically franchises.
Yep. But it does come at a performance basis as well.
Correct.
So I guess there's an agreement as far as how teams need to perform that have those franchises.
Yep.
And if they don't meet them, then they can be stripped away. Um, and I think it's basically to the point where they don't get their money then at that point.
Yeah. So basically, when we're talking performance, we're talking on track performance of meeting a certain level of a bunch of metrics that they track in terms of actual on track performance of said chartered teams. So, um, yeah, and when you talk of that, right? Like we talk about stripping charters, right? So I think these permanent charters, these franchises, as we've kind of talked about, I think um, some people are just loving this, sitting back, going, "Well, my charter just went from 25 million to $100 million, right? That's my
Yep.
valuation of said charter." But that I think is becomes an interesting conversation on somebody who would be looking to get into the sport.
And obviously, the big one that everybody's been waiting for or talking about is the Judy Motorsports Camp.
Yep.
Even if it's just a car. But now, it was already tough to get in, right? That's a ton of money to do it. Now it just became even more. And teams aren't going to be that willing to sell them now at this point,
Yep.
unless they are forced to, which I just saw on the point here that it is a forced sale. So at least there is a monetary value to it, but it's also within a certain period of time. So,
Yeah, and when we talked about the cost of those charters, last year when Legacy acquired that charter, they kind of reset the market. $45 million for that charter. Well, we're going to be talking two, three, 3.5 times that now for a charter to run in the Cup Series being a permanent entity, with a little bit of a asterisk behind it. It's going to be a permanent entity to the sport. So, um, it's just that it's going to get very interesting in terms of the players in the market. Now, if the right person comes along with $150 million and says we want in, could they get in? I'm not going to rule it out. I'm also
yeah,
not going to say we're going to have a whole bunch of brand new teams. I'm going to tell you that right now. um, in terms of that, so I think that that's been the biggest conversation around this is uh, the permanence of the charters, and obviously 2311 and Front Row have been very vocal. I think
yeah,
is the correct word to use for this. Very vocal in terms of um, not agreeing with what has previously been, and now what will the sport be?
yeah. And a lot of, yeah, and there's a lot of untrusting, untrustedness that kind of came into this as well,
Mm-hmm.
where like there was the conversation about SRX and, teams, NASCAR feeling like anybody going over there has not been loyal or pledged to promote or be loyal about NASCAR and their charters, like, which sucks because like that kind of disencourages guys from racing other things, which maybe you saw a little bit of that with William Byron not running any super late races, Chase Elliott having a limited schedule. Obviously Larson still runs his dirt stuff, but who's to
Yeah.
say that NASCAR's even trying to promote that? We had a conversation around the Snowball Derby about NASCAR doing a lot of promoting about the Snowball Derby this year, which I don't know. I don't recall if they did it last year, but seems pretty convenient, right?
Yeah. And that's one of those things of, is this we've talked about the marketing changes within the organization of NASCAR itself. Is this their was that their first big hello, here we are weekend? I mean, I felt like the NASCAR regional pages on social media were covering everything all the time. And is that their first move? I don't know. Is
Yeah.
it convenient timing that we can? Oh, here's the Daytona 500 commercial every time we go to a commercial break. It's hard to separate those, but it felt different, I think is the way I would describe it in terms of how that shook out.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
I don't know. I think they had the conversation around some of the stuff of, you know, NASCAR to a certain degree feeling threatened by SRX and that series and what was going on. And one of the conversation points came was using like likeness of logos and brandings and numbers and things like that. And it's like, when you look at them, the numbers were not really even close.
yep. And it's like at the same time, like those numbers are a driver's brand, right? Like
Yeah, of
everybody
course.
recognizes the Chase Elliott number 9, which was used in that specific circumstance.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, Chase Elliott runs the 9. The Elliots have run the 9 for years. Like that's an
It-
identity. That's a brand for them.
the Elliott family is the nine.
Yep.
So, I don't know. And, it's interesting because SRX was when you looked at the population of drivers that they had with them on a regular basis. I mean, some of the places you would go, you were winning local races to get into SRX. We
Yep.
take the Slinger Nationals, for example. That's how Luke Fenhouse got his shot with SRX. He won the Slinger Nationals and he got to run SRX when they came to Slinger.
And let's be
Uh,
honest, he would have won that race if that late caution didn't come out.
correct.
And who's to say how much that helped his stock to be able to run the partial truck schedule that he's got now?
Right. So, when you look at that, right, and then you start to talk about the candidates or the pools of drivers that they were pulling from, they really were drivers from all different disciplines.
I
They weren't
mean,
just retired NASCAR guys.
yep. I mean, if you really want to go into this, like everybody, it wasn't a straight comparison, but everybody compared SRX to the old IROC series.
Hmm.
And back in the day, really towards the later part of IROC, who was announcing those IROC races? The Fox Sports broadcast team.
Yep.
So, I
Yeah, I
mean,
mean, at the end of the day, SRX also was only running 6 weeks of the year.
right. Yep.
SRX also offered backup cars. Guys, if we're wrecking stuff, they were here. Here you go. Hop
He
in.
was
You're
run by
ready.
a former NASCAR crew chief to start with.
Yeah, correct. I just, yeah, it's interesting to think about it that way just because when you look at the group of drivers that they had, yes, they had some NASCAR guys that were in there. When you look at, I think it was Tony Stewart and Biffle and Boyer and Marcus Ambrose
But
and
you had guys too that weren't. You had Elio Castroneves. Deegan was in there at the time.
Tony
You had
Kanaan.
John. You had yeah Tony Kanaan. You had Davenport run a race.
Yeah, like you got a teenager running Slinger. Like
Yeah, like
they were pulling from different populations as well that were just not, hey, let's go get a dozen Cup Series driver to come run SRX, and oh, we're gonna go to a NASCAR sanctioned track, right? Like NASCAR ain't never going to Lucas Oil. I hate to break it to you, but
no,
that they're not like that's so yeah, I don't know when you think about that, like SRX is just sitting here laughing because they're in the middle of it, but they're not because they're just talked about as
right. They were just there.
for sure.
So, and obviously this whole monopoly thing came out too. Of like, obviously NASCAR's got no competition, which if we're gonna be honest, they really don't.
Correct.
And it's their show. Like it's run by the France family. It's not like I mean they have a board of directors, but ultimately it comes down to the France family. as far as what direction they want to go. The France and the Kennedy family, which they are the same family in all reality.
Correct.
Um, one of the key ones, and this is where it kind of started to get nasty, was when Heather Gibbs uh, was up on the stand, who was Coy Gibbs's uh, wife, and was saying that NASCAR kind of forced Joe Gibbs' hand as far as signing their charter agreement. One of the things
Yep.
that was quoted was, "If I wait from Jim France was if I wake up and I have 20 charters, if I have 20. If I have 30, I have 30." It was you're either with me or you're not,
Yep.
and force the hands of teams.
Yeah. And you start to look at the letters that have come out from, coincidentally and timing enough, Bass Pro and Johnny Morris. That
Yep.
was the letter that came out the night before the settlement was agreed upon. There are letters that have come out with Rick Hendrick talking about winning titles and his sponsorship revenue, but also losing money, right? Like
Yeah.
when you start to look at those types of scenarios, it's just like, at what point do we just close the door on this and go, all right, guys, let's figure this out internally without getting too
Publicly ugly about it.
correct. This is going to change the sport in a big way already. Let's not give ourselves two black eyes on the way to this.
Right.
So, it's those are the letters that I think that kind of opened eyes in terms of like teams aren't really rolling in money. I mean, we're still yet to hear if NASCAR is going to pay the damages or the defamation to 2311 and Front Row.
Yeah.
They together were collectively, the defamation was estimated to be 360 some $1 million between the two organizations. So, um, yeah, it took some rocky points, and then it's referenced the Richard Childress situation.
Yeah.
Obviously, those messages got brought out. He, um, in order of how it went, actually did was on the stand. He was a part of that trial, and um, it just Penske was in line, Hendrick was in line. There were a handful of guys that um, they were not going to leave anyone out of this in terms of when you talk about the big guns and the big names of the sport. They were going to be there at some point um, to testify what had gone on. So, yeah, he did get a little ugly there for a little while.
Yeah. I'm trying to read. Bob Backus had a very good day-to-day um, summarization of kind of like big notes that came from the trial. I'm trying to read this as I go too. Like I said, the books got opened up as well, and for the most part, I mean, there were instances where NASCAR lost money on scenarios, but it was never around the charter system. It was always, I think the three big ones were um, the Chicago Street Course, the Mexico City race,
Yep.
and there was one more, and I don't remember what it was.
But like significant losses.
Yep, over the 3 year span.
Yep.
Um, they also said that getting Amazon to sign on as a broadcast partner was based around the Chicago Street Course race as well.
Yep.
So NASCAR's hand was forced as well, but they never they showed losses. But like I said, it also opened up the books as far as what NASCAR was making and how much the teams necessarily probably weren't getting.
Yep. Yeah. We talk about it a lot up here with our local racing in terms of cost of maintenance of cars and wrecking equipment. Obviously, this is a whole different scale of this, but they were even talking the cost of building a car and what the life of a car is and what that looks like in terms of disputes. There was even disputes on what the cost of building a car was. Start to talk about NASCAR obviously shift to that single part supplier, right? So Um, they had even gotten to a certain point that they were disputing what one building and two running a car um costs in terms of just the sheer number of my race car number one is said dollar amount with said life or
Yep.
longevity to said car. So um obviously that can be deterred in a hurry, but they were even to the point of discussing those factors as well.
Yeah. Um, there was something else in here too that Hamlin said, like of the original group that had all signed charters, there were a ton of them that have left over time. I'm trying to find that stat because I found it interesting when he said that.
You really old control F.
I could do that. I thought it was in the first couple of days.
But yeah, I just
And Hamlin was very persistent on the NASCAR is taking advantage of the teams essentially.
correct. You know, we're even to this day, it's now December 16th, and this has been settled for what, a week now?
Yeah.
6 days? I mean, Denny's on Twitter looking for receipts. He's looking for apologies. Like the dude is
Yep.
just one in particular that he's really gone after is Larry McReynolds.
Yep.
He has hi, I kept the receipts on this. Like he has been vocal about what has gone on. So I'm actually gonna check that, but just because he's been replies, what those would be.
Uh Front Row Motorsports even said too, kind of going through some other stuff that um the amount of money that they spent getting the two next gen cars going was a ton of money too, and that set them back.
Yep. Yeah, Denny has not been quiet on Twitter to say the least. He had asked this morning, now that the case is settled and the evidence is out, is if you or anyone at Channel 90 will be issuing an apology for what you had said about 2311 in front row when the lawsuit was filed. Somebody didn't like that and mentioned the word animosity. Denny says animosity ends with accountability.
Yep.
So he is, as he said, I believe it was, how dare them for trying to come in and change the sport. 2311 hasn't been around long enough and front row wasn't good enough. I don't know what their problem is. The 13 other teams signed it, as he said, just to name a few examples.
Hmm.
So obviously his Twitter bookmarks are working.
Yep. Yep.
um, but I mean, to a certain degree, is he right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Eh, yeah. It's just I don't necessarily know we're done taking black eyes from this situation just yet.
No. And like the thing that I got to thinking about too was, NASCAR strived for as long as it did for decades, right? And what was the turning point as far as the financials, like when it became dumb expensive to start doing this racing deal and TV got maybe too involved as far as like how the money got split. Like, where was the breaking point where the arguing started coming up? Because I mean, we all know like the 90s and the early 2000s were the golden ages of NASCAR.
Mhm.
And at what point did that tail off
Or get influenced.
by the money or just too much business, where it wasn't about the racing, it was about the business?
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, I mean, it's more about the business than it is about the racing.
Yep.
And I think we could argue to a certain degree why we could say at certain points, certain stretches, certain packages that this next gen car has kind of been eh.
Yeah.
It's all right. Here you go. Here's all the same car. Let's put it on the racetrack, right? We're all going to run the same speed. And that's where I think, that part of it is, I've said it time and time again. Let's go back to pulling outside skirts,
Yeah.
right? Let's go back to being creative to find speed, right? Like
Yep.
this car is just too rigid in what you can do with it to be able to make speed, and I think that's there's no passing. Well, yeah, because everyone's on the same stuff all the time, right? So, um, that's where I think, to a certain degree, when you mention that, it's not the point. Obviously, that was long before this, but um, uh, could you argue that that's a product of that model? I would say so. So, yeah, I that's part that it's kind of, as I think about that, that's that model of it's not about the racing, it's about the business. Well, to a certain degree, this car might be a product of that model.
Yeah. Here's a good one for you. So the cost, I was talking about the cost of the next gen car, went from 205,000 per car to 350,000 per car in the last 3 years as the prices of those parts have increased. Again, sourcing the single source parts. He said that he was spending 1.8 million on cars for a two-car team from 2016 to 2021 before the next gen car, and it increased to 4.7 from 2022 to 2024.
Yep.
And he said that has had drivers pay for race cars. In 2019, Matt Tifft paid $2.1 million to race a cup car in, what did I say, 2019.
Yep. Chandler Smith paid 1.5 million to race a truck for
Yep.
front. So it kind of confirms the rumors that we had kind of heard in terms of what it takes to run an Xfinity car for you. You're talking somewhere between $3 and $5 million. Well, when you're 1.5 in it for a truck, that 3 to 5 sounds just about right.
Yep.
So Jenkins in his when he testified, said it takes $20 million to put a car on the track before paying a driver's salary. He said it's $20 million is the industry average, and he's glad he can do it for less.
Mhm.
So just when you're talking about raw dollar signs, the amount of money, just sheer dollar amount. So yeah, I mean, we're even talking about the money that they're getting from Ford, right? Front row gets paid 1.17, 1 point, call it $1.2 million.
Yep.
Ford as a part of their manufacturer deal. Their team core evaluation is $61 million. Um, so that's the type of money that, I could see that being now with the way this has gone. I could see that being $120 million now. He's got those things that everyone wants, and it's charters,
Yep.
permanent franchises. You could just call them franchises now, really. So I do tell you this: if somebody had a charter and they were looking to get out, cha-ching!
Yep.
Hi, I want out. I don't want to do this anymore. Okay, sounds good. Here's my $150 million. I'll take that off of your hands. So, yeah, I don't. Those are some interesting statistics in terms of just the number of dollars that are flying around in this, right? Like we knew it was expensive to do. Don't get me wrong.
Hmm.
To put an actual quantified dollar amount that has been used to testify, I think puts a little bit more bearing on the situation. So, these charter costs, is that gonna change what it takes to get yourself in a cup car? Is that going to deter some of these teams from doing one-off type stuff?
Yeah.
I don't know. We have a lot of questions that we don't know. I can tell you this: we're 60 days from Daytona,
Yep.
so
And again, they're still discussing, the benefits of the charter, whether it's the TV media rights, the strike system, which that was kind of confusing, but basically it's if the teams go and vote to get rid of something and NASCAR vetoes it however many times, the teams have a right to get out of their charter agreement.
yeah, yeah. They were talking about said they're three strike or three pillar. Now it's five pillar, and I didn't. I'm not going to lie to you. I did not fully understand that. That was a little bit out of my realm, if I'm going
Yeah.
to lie to you.
I don't know. All in
So,
all, like you said, like I still feel like we're gonna have the repercussions of this for years to come.
yep. And the crazy part is we just don't know what that is yet.
Yep.
Could be great. It could also not be good at all.
Yep. And ultimately, again, this is going to be a turning point in what is the history of NASCAR. Like
Historical.
we're going to look 20 years down the road at this, 20, 25, 30 years down the road, and this is going to be a talking point.
Yep. This is going to be when they said charters are permanent. Here's the situation.
Yep.
So, yeah, and you mentioned it when you say NASCAR has no competition necessarily.
They got
Somebody,
an own competition. They own ARCA. They
right?
own
Like
IMSA.
when somebody sells out of the Cup Series, if they want a stock car race,
Yep.
where are they going to go?
Back to the late models.
Right? Like, what do you get? You could go run a cars tour, or like, like that's the other part of that conversation is they kind of do have the market cornered to a certain degree.
Yep. 100%.
So,
And again, like the big thing is that, like with NASCAR, it is owned by the France family, and they can run it however they want.
yep.
So I don't know.
This has been my saying of late. Does anybody really know?
No,
Correct.
no. And it's so hard to follow with just as much as going on. It's like you're just lost as far as where it's at.
Of course.
I've bookmarked some points. I've gone back and forth on these, I don't know how many times just as we've been talking here. I still don't know how to wrap my head around it.
And to be honest with you, some of the stuff you can't even understand.
No.
That's the thing about it. Is you can look at some of the stuff and you just can't even understand the average guy can't even understand some of it.
Nope.
So I don't know. Do those public statements need to be that complicated? Maybe.
But
That's
again,
why.
ultimately, we all want it. All we want out of this is that we get the absolute best racing we can out of whatever.
Yep, correct.
So,
Yeah, I
and we want to make it easy for others to get in if they can, if they want to.
correct. Yep. And fortunately, the only thing that will be able to tell this is going to be time.
Yep.
Father Time is going to be the one that's going to tell how this is all going to shake out, play out, how it's going to fall. And we're going to see what that looks like.
Yep.
So,
I don't know. It seems like we've been talking here for a while, and did we get anywhere with it? I don't know.
I don't know.
Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I'll tell you this. It doesn't give you the warm, fuzzy feeling just yet.
no. And like Mark Martin was saying, like you hate to see it because you want the sport that we've grown up with and we've loved for all of our lives to thrive.
Correct. And I think that's the part is the unknown is a little bit scary of
Yeah.
we we don't know what's next. So, we do have, and when you think about it, right? Like we start to talk about these charters, we do have some drivers that are getting closer ish to that retirement part.
Yep.
What does the cost of a seat look like going forward when these permanent charters are now around? I guess I take him in as one that he's probably the closest of anyone. Probably Denny.
Yep.
I could see him running 2 years and hanging her up full time 2311 CEO Michael Jordan, however you want to phrase or coin his
President of the
title.
company and yeah.
Yeah, like what does that is that going to affect the cost of participating, not even getting into the sport, participating, being a driver of said organization. So,
Which that's a whole argument in its own right because Kenseth has said that he's never had to pay for a cup ride,
yep.
and yet who doesn't pay for a ride nowadays? You got to bring the money with you.
Yeah, you got to have the money behind you to be able to even talk getting in the car. So that part intrigues me. I don't know that we'll see it for a while just because maybe changes at the end of the year. I don't know. We talked about silly season. I think there's a couple we could probably tab that would be on the block potentially for next year,
Yep.
but that's not a for sure either. So, um, yeah, I don't. It's gonna be interesting. It's just kind of the wild, wild west right now.
Yeah. Yep.
So,
And ultimately, like when we get back on track, really at the Clash, like it's just gonna kind of that dark cloud's still gonna kind of linger there.
yep,
You're gonna kind of walk in like everybody, like you're gonna side eye people and like I don't really want to talk to you type of deal, and like
True fireworks are going to be when that,
it's that weird family reunion type of vibe.
yeah. And then it's the real fireworks are going to happen when the 11 car wins the race.
Give him an open mic.
Give him an open live mic after he wins the race. He said that's what he makes, but not many guys wins as many races as he does.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I don't know. Any other thoughts that you want to add to this at all, or
No, I don't. A lot of the law conversation I don't understand, so I ain't even going to take a swing at it, to be
yeah,
honest. I think when we look at the evergreen charters as the big conversation and, um, putting an actual dollar amount to a lot of what goes on, I think just gives you some perspective into like, wow, it does take this to do that.
yeah, and how easy is it going to be for anybody else to get in?
Yep.
So, all right. There is a race at least on our schedule this weekend. The Cars Tour West uh wraps up what was their reschedule.
Yep.
Um, Otherwise, high limit will round out the year. I've got 4 races left on the schedule for us, and then we jump into 2026, which is slowly shaping up. Uh, I know USAC announced their schedules. IRA announced a part of their schedule. Um, we're still waiting on the Southern Super Series.
Still waiting on Castrol, Flow Racing. Or, well, it's not
If
Castrol. I got to
if we're
stop.
gonna do that, that's
Flow
gonna
Racing Night in America.
yep. Um, yeah. I mean this the schedule's shaping up here.
Yeah, she's getting full. A lot of our favorite series have put out their schedules already. We're waiting on a couple up here yet, but
Yep.
um, we have a lot of our kind of wheelhouse crown jewels that we like to go to up here.
Yep.
And Yeah, it's getting full. I mean, it kicks off in January. You got nearly three straight weeks of racing with the Wild West Shootout, the Tulsa Shootout, and then you go to the Chili Bowl Nationals.
Yep.
Like nearly could watch racing for 21 straight days almost.
100%.
So I
Then
mean,
there's a slight break after World of the Wild West, and then Dirt Car National start up with the World of Outlaws.
yep,
So
we're not actually far off from getting 2026 kicked off, which is
yeah,
crazy to think. You know, we these dirt guys, they got less of an offseason than NASCAR guys do.
yeah, 100%.
So
So, um, now any final thoughts here before we sign off? I know we got some things kind of in the works as far as stuff that we want to talk about.
Yep, yep. We will post as we kind of get into the holiday season here. We got 2 weeks of holidays coming up here. If for some unsaid reason and or just spending time with family, we don't do an episode, we will sure to let you know. So,
Yeah, I think we are. I think we're pretty well confirmed. Like that first week of January,
yep,
we're going to be back. We're at least going to be doing something,
yep.
which I think that's about our year in review.
Year in review and the new awards show.
Yeah,
So I'm pumped about that. I'm excited for that one.
we're gonna put some work into that one. We're gonna have our PowerPoints going again and
Yeah.
sharing screens and
Yep, that'll be good. So we'll have a full recap of that one. But yeah, we're kind of bouncing through the holidays here.
yep.
So
So cool. Well, if we got nothing else going on, be sure to like, comment, subscribe as always. If you got something that you want us to look into or talk about, shoot us a comment too. We're always open to suggestions.
absolutely.
Add your comments too as how you think this NASCAR deal is going to play out, short term, long term, whatever the case may be. Um, Yeah, be on the lookout at our socials for future dates coming up. If your tracks are still running or got a special going on, be sure to look out for those. Tune into any races that you can. Start thinking about next year as well, as a lot of schedules are starting to come out. Um, Otherwise, as we said, we'll keep you updated as far as when the next episode of the Tuesday Track Talk is. But whenever that is, we'll see you then.